and he should be rejoicing and happy, and he should by this time know that the Lord is God. That was the purpose of these two great battles, for Ahab to know that God is God, not these servants of Baal or any of these other the people, the ones that they worshipped in the groves. They are not God. They are just things that are made up in people's minds. And I don't know, like the golden calf and stuff. God is God. And you look around at His creation, and what can compare? Anyway, verse 43, and the king of Israel went to his house heavy and displeased, and came to Samaria. So instead of going joyfully back to Samaria, back to the capital city, back to his home, instead of being happy and joyful because of the battle and the knowledge that the Lord had given him that God is God, he is sorrowful and displeased, his heart's heavy displeased, and he goes back home. So, you would think, well, even in this, there's some instruction. We're going to know what happens, in other words, if I do something wrong, there's going to be a penalty. In this case, eventually he's going to lose his life, and his people are going to suffer. So, chapter 21, verse 1, and it came to pass after these things that Naboth the Jezreelite had a vineyard, which was in Jezreel, hard by the palace of Ahab, king of Samaria. In other words, they were right together. Now, I can understand Ahab wanted it, and because it was, they were right there. And I think maybe it was a pretty good vineyard. In verse 2, and Ahab spake unto Naboth, saying, give me thy vineyard, that I may have it for a garden of herbs, because it is near unto my house, and I will give thee for it a better vineyard than it, or if it seem good to thee, I will give thee the worth of it in money. In other words, I want to buy it or trade for it. And a lot of times people think that because they want something, they deserve it. And that's just not so. We have a lot of people like that nowadays. And I want it now. So what does Naboth say in verse 3? And Naboth said to Ahab, the Lord forbid it me, that I should give the inheritance of my fathers unto thee. In other words, he got this as an inheritance. And you don't pass out your inheritance. It's something it's kept in the family. And it used to be the family farms were in the family for generations, one after the other. As a matter of fact, most of the big old farmhouses had 2 or 3 generations in them all the time anyway. You had mom and dad and grandma and grandpa, sometimes great grandma and grandpa, and you had the sons and daughters, and they all lived in the same house. But not so anymore. Anyway, he said, I should give the inheritance of my fathers unto thee. I can't do it. Verse 4, and Ahab came to his house heavy and displeased because of the word which Naboth the Jezreelite had spoken to him. For he had said, I will not give thee the inheritance of my fathers. And he laid him down upon his bed and turned away his face and would eat no bread. In other words, he was throwing a fit. Now, when you're a little kid, you're like 2 years old or something like that, and you hear them going, and you go to Walmart, and you're going to hear lots of them. But anyway, they scream and they holler and everything like that. And it don't hurt for them to scream and holler. Just don't pay any attention to them. Take them outside and have a brief discussion with them about the impropriety of their actions in public, and it'll go away. Things will be just fine. But we're talking about the king here. And the king is throwing his fit. He's laying down on his bed and he wouldn't eat. I'm not even going to eat. So, I'll tell you what, we're going to go ahead and stop there. And we are going to go ahead and finish studying Ahab. I was going to leave some things out, but I think it's best to go ahead and get all of it. It's not that awful much longer, probably 2 or 3 more lessons about him. But there are some things that I think need to be studied, good lessons for us. And anyway, we'll start with verse 5 next week, Lord willing. Anyway, everybody kind of stand by. We're getting ready to have the pastor's message for the morning.